Previously on Balls.
There's more promising.
Hello?
Jono,
Yes, sir.
how's it going?
Good, you?
I'm all right, thank you. You don't sound like you don't sound like you're on a field, and that phone was answered very quickly for it to be in your sock or in the back of your trousers.
Oh, no. That whole story was cancelled.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sound like you're somewhere very nice and quiet and taking it easy.
But I must say, it does sound attractive, that whole story of something in my sock.
Well, all depends on where you're keeping your sock, I
Beyond that,
suppose.
man.
All right, now I was actually sort of schmoozing around Loftus today, and I heard that Craig Joubert was busy giving a chat in the auditorium about the laws today. Is that what today is all about? Is that why you were with the Stormers today, also giving them a sort of brush up on the various laws, or not?
No. I actually did that with them on Monday.
Okay.
And they seem pretty comfortable, but the proof of the pudding is always after the first few games when they've either got a W against their name or an L.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with their fans furiously behind them either way. I was just thinking about it today, and I mean, you know, you guys must be in these meetings pre-season. Surely you must kind of get an indication of maybe what they might be going to try as well. In other words, you know, so some of these teams always like to push the sort of limits. And this is the time when they'd basically start asking you questions, which would kind of lead you to think, okay, this is what these guys might be trying. You know, do you watch that more closely, or do you kind of understand what it is they're trying to do from the meeting? Do you learn anything out of these from the way they're going to approach a season?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the things that I've really. I mean, not all the referees have access to the coaches and the players, but for the guys that do, I really think it's a must that they. I mean, you learn so much, you know, the intent of teams, you know, what they're planning to do, where their strengths are, where they're trying to negate opposition strengths. So
Yeah.
I find it very valuable.
Do they, without mentioning names, but do they also point out players that they want you to watch during the year, sort of from opposition point of view? Do names come up now and again?
Look, there's a universal name. I mean, everyone asks us to watch Richie.
Yeah, well, they didn't even have to mention the name. Yeah, that's kind of where we were hinting at. All right, so that still happens, eh?
Yeah, no, look, we don't really entertain those kind of specific questions. Where we're looking to give teams and players peace of mind. So, in other words, this is the law. If all's grey, like sometimes, you know, there's laws that are written in the rule book that they're applied, and there's others that the language is difficult, so teams need you know, an indication of how laws are going to be applied, and then to allay the concerns that it's going to be applied consistently. Because if they're not going to embark on a specific game plan or do something specifically, then they want to know that other teams can't do that either.
Yeah, so the consistency thing, I mean, that still is the general thing that they want from referees. Just be consistent.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I mean, even bigger news today, other than Super Rugby kicking off very soon or this week, was the official announcement now that you're retiring your P, and this is the last year for you.
Yeah. So I chose to make the announcement now, so it gives me an opportunity to embrace the last year. This will be my last year as a professional referee, but I will still carry on refereeing as a hobby, and so I'll be doing club rugby and school rugby and wherever else I'm required, because, I mean, it was always a passion of mine, and, you know, at a certain point in my life I got paid for doing it, and at the end of this year it will go back to just being a hobby.
Darren, you know, John has refereed more Tests, Super Rugby and Currie Cup matches than anyone in history. That is an amazing feat, John. 21 years on SARA's elite panels. I mean, that is so in your blood.
Wow, I didn't realize that. So,
yeah,
gee, that's amazing.
Yeah, look, I mean, all those records, those are just numbers. And at the end of the day, you know, rugby's proliferating, so all the records go eventually. But I think what really has made me happy is the fact that I've always tried to referee for the players on the field and for the public who are watching the game. I mean, and that's always been, you know, foremost in my mind. And the response that I've got after, throughout time, but particularly yesterday after when I announced the retirement date it was astounding. It made the day just that much more emotional for me because, people acknowledged that very reason why I did what I did all those years ago. Why I started it. I mean, I've been doing this now 30 years.
Sure. And one of the questions that came up, and I'm sure people would wonder, I mean, obviously you guys get paid match fees and you get contracts and stuff as well. I mean, is there a sort of post-retirement insurance that you guys get as well? In other words, are referees looked after once they retire from what they've contributed to the game by way of their contracts and the way their things are structured?
No, look, I mean, I've been working for SO Rugby since 1998, so they recently did a restructuring, and I was put on contract, and I wanted to do this this year. And the truth is, I don't really know where I'm going. I don't think I've been badly looked after by the organisation at all, in respect of my financial remuneration. But where to from now is open cards. I'm in the market.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen guys like Tupper and Paddy O'Brien and those Andre Watson, basically moving into the higher echelons of referee management and being still involved, but from I don't know what the right term is, management. You know what they do. Does that interest you at all? In other words, would you sit on refereeing panels to still assess laws and give input on laws, or do you rather want to do, as you said, the passion that you've always had to use it as a hobby?
No, look, I'm going to carry on as a hobby, but that doesn't take a lot of time. It's just a little bit of time on a Saturday morning or afternoon. For me, I've always said that whatever I do in my life, I want to be rewarded for it. So it's got to be financially viable, and equally, it has to be stimulating. So those are the two non-negotiables. Like the rest of the stuff is, look, would you like to get into media? Would you like to be involved in rugby administration? Would you like to start a business and do other things as hobbies or as extra income? I mean, all these things. I'm open. I'm available, and I've got this well of information. I'm happy to contribute. Yeah. Quite where I fit in at the moment, I'm not sure. And also, I do want to make sure that my last year is a good year. So I don't really want to be caught up in lots of haggling and losing my focus, because my focus will be on delivering the same product till the end of the Currie Cup campaign, and I'm pretty set on making sure that delivery is of the same standards, for the last 21 years.
Your focus will be on making sure that getting the Sharks finally to a Super Rugby win. John, I never even answered. He doesn't say a word. He just sits there thinking, Scott, shut up. No, but I was just going back to what you said. Sorry, before Simon comes in with a question. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he's horrified.
You didn't really expect me to answer that question.
No, I didn't. I just threw it in there. No, but we've spoken sort of before, and I do know that you have a passion for the media as well. I've always found it astounding that some media in this country allow these and sometimes very vociferous and at times ugly debates as well on a Monday after weekend of rugby, when there's been, there isn't a week that goes by that someone's not bitching about some refereeing decision or something here, and they've never ever thought of actually getting a referee on board to actually come and explain what's going on. I can understand why there has never been a regular slot on a Monday afterwards to be able to analyze and maybe just make it easier and help people along to understand what the rules are. Because, a lot of people don't understand the laws, and that's why we have these unnecessary, sometimes social media debates and unfair attacks, slating people and getting personal with them as well. Now, it's difficult, I know.
That's exactly, and by the way, that's not a South African issue.
It's a worldwide thing,
universal. It's a bigger picture. So I think what these blokes have to understand is that it's a complex game, and the public have got a greater need for and a big thirst for knowledge and understanding. And I think to throw out generics, like broad brush statements of what is and what isn't is not really satisfying for the public. I think what they're looking for is a more intricate, more intimate appraisal of decisions and games, and that is something that would interest me. That kind of analysis would interest me. But obviously, it's a completely different realm, and I'd be dependent on what was offered.
Yeah.
Not really. I know that I can contribute. I know that there's a need for it. I mean, there isn't a person, so if I say bar none, it means bar none of people that have said, no, we get enough information, we're quite happy with what we got.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're entirely right. And I mean, a perfect example is the post-World Cup Bryce Lawrence debate. I never ever saw anywhere where someone got a referee in, and maybe they did, but I didn't see anywhere on our media or anywhere where someone got a referee in to sit and actually go through it and say, okay, well, was he wrong here? Was he right there? So at least people have a better understanding, and everyone has a bad game. You guys are human. So, people can have bad games, and some people do consistently have bad ones, but at least have someone independent to sit and do it and say, okay, this was or this wasn't.
At least they're consistent.
Exactly. Yeah. The problem is obviously that while you're active, there are restrictions on you being able to comment on those things. We know. So, I just
true.
hope.
And that's really, that's what I wanted to say, that it is, there is a restriction on that. I mean, no one would expect a player to bag a colleague.
Yeah.
And so similarly, we don't really fancy the idea of having crack at our colleagues, even if we know that they had a poor game. Privately, if we're sitting around a bar or something like that, we may say, yes, the guy acknowledges that he's had a bad game or that was a bad decision. But I think, by and large, it's something that we'd like to stay well clear of.
Well, I certainly hope, and obviously, we've chatted a couple of times, and I think that I've always felt that you would be the ideal person to do that when you weren't active again. So whether we do something here, or whether you do get on TV or they do a TV show, whatever it is, I certainly hope that once you do finish at the end of the show, that is going to be one of the things you're involved in, because I think that is perfectly suited to you. And you're not just going to, it's not about just bagging other people. It's about just saying, this is the way it is. This is how it is, and explaining to people. And I think you'd be ideal for that. So I certainly hope that'll stay in your thinking.
Right, because players sometimes get slated for poor options. And they don't feel fantastic when they get it. So similarly, us refs, when we make poor decisions, or decisions that appear to be poor, we've got to also be accountable, put up our hands and say, that doesn't make me a bad person or a bad referee, but at this particular moment, that's not my greatest decision.
Yeah. All right. Well, Johnny, and I think Simon also had something you wanted to ask. Johnny, you go first.
John, if you had to look back on this illustrious career you've had, what has been the highlight for you, and what incident will stick out foremost in your mind?
Yeah, look, John, I had a lot of reporters calling me over the years, but particularly in the last couple of days. And I know this may sound tailored for the local audience, but my involvement in the Currie Cup, and particularly Currie Cup finals, were awesome experiences for me. I can't tell you how special the atmosphere is at those days. And I understand Super Rugby is a step up, and the Test Rugby is a step up from that. And I've had some brilliant Test matches as well. I mean, probably my favourite one was in 2000 when Australia played New Zealand in Wellington, and there was the two top teams in the world, and they had it was quite a dramatic type of game ending in the last minute, and I had to make a decision. I was a very green referee, not just finding my way in the world of Test refereeing, and I had to make a very bad decision against New Zealand, in New Zealand, and the game hinged on that call. So that was one of my favourites. I did probably one of the games in the 2003 World Cup when Samoa were leading England for 62 minutes, and in a very, very high quality game, eventually losing, but England went on to win the World Cup. I thought that was a pretty special game with a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
There's lots. I've done more than 1,000 games. I've done more than 400 first-class games. So there's quite a few highlights that I can talk about, and I will be doing that in a book that I'll probably be releasing at the end of this year.
All right, awesome. Because I was going to say, I mean,
there's a book there for sure.
this is obviously this isn't the time because we've still got a year to go. So this isn't the time for a nice sort of sit down chat and reminisce about just your career. But we'd certainly love to do that. Maybe at a pub somewhere or in our studio at some stage later on in the year, Jonna. So we'll touch base with you later on when you are available and when things start winding down. And sort of go through, just talk about your career and some of the highlights and the players and the moments and the incidents and stuff like that, because I'm sure there's a hell of a lot of stuff, as I say, maybe close to the time when you're about to bring your book out as well.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Simon?
Yeah, I just want to know, are you bleak that you never ever got to ref a World Cup final?
No, I don't think bleak's the right word. I mean, my career has unfolded over many, many years, and I've had my fair share of highlights along the way. Was I capable of doing the World Cup final? Of course I was.
Yeah.
I was probably a bit unlucky that I didn't get one, but that's not going to define my career. It is something that I would have liked to have experienced, but I've had many other joys along the way. So, like I said, I'm probably just a little disappointed, but not much.
Yeah, but look, I mean, the other thing you've got to consider is that chances are, and I think it was kind of a given, that if we weren't in the 2007 final, you would have got that game. So, the Springboks performance, and I'm sure you would never trade that for anything, it kind of maybe did cost you your World Cup final anyway.
Yeah, look, I mean, I had a chance in 2003 and I had a chance in 2007. And I would have liked to have thought that I had a chance in 2011 as well. But for whatever reason, it didn't pan out for me, and that's okay. That's not, like I said, a little disappointed, but not. It's not a defining moment in my career. I've had the longest time at the top. I've had the longest international career. I've done the most of all these different skills.
Oh, we lost him.
You need to get Skype credit to call this. Oops. No, we're out of Skype credit.
Oh, no.
We used our Skype credit up.
Don't say that.
Well, I think that was the final question anyway, and we kind of covered it all. Yeah, we must get him. Reminisce.
Yeah.
Nice. I
I'm
love
just thinking how the media would pick up
his
his thing about Australia-New Zealand game. It was one of his favourite games. How they translated to Jonathan Kaplan happy that he screwed the All Blacks.
Yeah. But it actually...
No, we don't have to get him back now. We'll just top up the meter. If we can. Otherwise, just play music and go home. Yeah.
Get our phone card. Put it in the ticky box.
But we must definitely get him to sit down with us one day, and it'll be like at a outside broadcast sometime later this year, just to reminisce with Jono about his career and just somebody, because I mean he'll have seen things that
a recap
from a referee's point of view that and experience things that players don't even experience, because he gets it from a completely different point of view. So that'll be nice, and I think it'll be awesome to actually get him involved on a platform like this, on a station like this, as a sort of, you can imagine a Monday where you've got Jono going, right, well, what was the controversy, and explain to us and clear it up, because I think that's something people want. I could never understand why SuperSport never did something like that. When guys like Andre, they can't do it while they're active. You can't get a ref to be...
But Andre Watson is, more than prepared to come on and
Andre doesn't used to come on every now and again.
Explain stuff.
But
he was on Blades' show on Monday.
Yeah. Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, he was.
There's Tupper and there's Andre, and there's a whole lot of guys you can call on.
What would you call when you bring your book out? What would you call it with Jonathan?
What do I call it?
Yeah, well, now, what do you think is a nice, appropriate name for it?
Clap them. I'm kidding.
Blow me.
How about the whistleblower?
Isn't the
Sounds
book
different,
out
eh?
there already
No, I
with
don't think
that
it is.
name?
Not,
Well, it was
I
something
don't know.
different.
Does it matter, John?
Yeah, no, it's different. Blow me over.
Blow me.
Just blow me, I think. Yeah.
Like that.
Kind of covers all the bases.
Blown away.
Critics and supporters. There we go.
So Jono was supposed to be at that Stormers practice, but it
Yeah, it
seemed
didn't
like it was
pan out.
cancelled at the last moment.
All right. So the refs have been doing all their briefings with the teams this week. That much we've managed to find out.
Yeah.
And we'll catch up with Jono again during the course of the year later on. And as I say, invite him to come and have a chat.
This is Bulls Visual Radio. Darren, Simon, Kate and John. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Bulls.co.za